Going to look at this question. This is one of those challenging questions you can come across in mathematics as you prepare for your competitive entrance exam. Let's look at, let's go through the question. This question says, how far can a man drive into the country if he drives out at 40 miles per hour, returns over the same road at 30 miles per hour, and spends 8 hours away from home, including a 1 hour stop for lunch? Now, if you read this question from beginning to the end, it can be confusing, but it's also very easy. So the first thing we need to do to make it easier for us to solve is to create a table. So I'm going to create the table, create a table. Now this table is going to show two things. It's going to show, because this man, if he drives out, like going out, and when he returns. So let's have going and return. Okay, now they give us the speed of the man when he drives out. But they want us to find how far is distance can a man drive into. Speed times time is equal to distance. So we need to show this, always show this. Speed times time will give you distance. We need to show it in the table and then show the going and the coming. Since when going, the man drives out at this speed, 40 miles per hour. For going under speed, I'm going to write 40 miles. Is this clear? And then he returns over the same road, take note, at 30 miles per hour. So for the speed for return, under speed, I'm going to write 30. This is 30 miles per hour. Now, they didn't give us the time it took this man to drive down to where he was going to. So I can let the time be X because it wasn't given. But then they gave us the total time the man spent away from home. They said he spends 8 hours away from home. Now, he didn't spend this whole 8 hours driving. No, these 8 hours include a 1 hour stop for lunch. That means the total time the man spent driving will be the 8 hours minus the 1 hour he spent for lunch. So the man spent 7 hours driving. So these 7 hours is both for going and coming. Now let's pause. If the total time it took this man to drive from his house and get to where he's going to is X hour, right? That's just for going. But then, both for going and for returning takes 7 hours. How long do you think it took this man to return? It will be the total time it took him to go and return minus the time it took him going. Remove going from the total, you get return. Is that clear? Now with this information, we are good to go. We can now find the distance. Remember, on top, I said speed times time is equal to distance. So, for going, the distance covered will be 40 times x, 40x. Okay? For return, 30 times 7 is 210 minus 30 times x is 30x. Alright? So now we have the distance for going and the distance for return. If the distance from his house to where he has gone to, the distance from his house to where he has gone to, and the distance from where he has gone to back to his house, no, it's the same. Distance does not change. It is only speed or time that can change. That means this distance for going, which is 40x, is equal to the distance for returning, which is 210 minus 30x, because I said the distance cannot change. Is that clear? Now, at this point, we need to collect like terms. At the left-hand side, we have 40x, but at the right-hand side, we have 210 minus 30x. So we need to move minus 30x down to the left hand side. Now as minus 30x, remember 30x has a negative sign. As it crosses this equal to sign, it changes to a positive sign. So this will give us 40x minus 30x crossing over will be plus 30x equal to 210. 40x plus 70x will give me 70x equal to 210. Let's solve for x. Divide both sides by 70. Divide this by 70. 70 cancels 70. So x is equal to 2. 0 cancels 0. 21 divided by 7 is 3. Remember, x is the time for going. So the time for going is 3 hours. So I have this information. But that is not what we are looking for. What are we looking for? How far can a man drive into the country? So we are looking at this distance, return distance, isn't it? This is the distance, like driving into the country. This is the distance he covered. So this will give me this distance, which is 210 minus 30x. This is what we are looking for. Is that okay? We know what the value of x is. The value of x is 3 hours. We come over here and replace this x with 3 hours. Is that clear? So from here, we are going to have 210 minus 30 times 3. Okay, now 210 minus 30 times 3 is 90. 210 minus 90 will give me 120, and the unit will be miles. 120 miles. Okay, so now I can say that the man drove into the country covering this distance. All right, question number 2. All right, this question says a sailor on leave drove to Jabi Park from his home at 60 miles per hour. On his trip home, his rate was 10 miles per hour less, and the trip took 1 hour longer. How far is his home from the park? Like what I did in example 1, the first thing you must do is to draw your table. So I'm going to draw a table to represent this information. In this table, I'm going to show speed, time, and distance. Since speed times time will give me distance. Okay, so this is for speed, for time, and then for distance. All right, I'll split it into 2. Now, this salon leaf drove to Jabi Park from his home, okay, at this miles per hour on his trip home. So I'll still have like going when he was going to the park, and when he returned, when he was returning. Hope this information is clear. When he was going to the park, his speed was 60 miles per hour. You come to the space of speed, you put the 60 here. On his trip home, like returning back home, his rate was 10 miles per hour less. What does it mean? Instead of moving at a speed of 60 miles per hour, he reduced the speed to 50 miles per hour since he's 10 miles per hour less. So the speed for return will be 50, 10 miles per hour less. Is that clear? Now, we don't know the time it took this man to drive from his house to the park. So we can let the time be x. But we know that because he reduced his speed, it now took him a longer time to get home. So the trip took 1 hour longer. The reason is that he reduced his speed. So the time it will take this man to get home will be the initial time, which is x, plus 1. The time is now 1 hour longer. Is that information clear? With this information, we can get the distance. The distance covered when going is speed times time, 60 times x, 60x And the distance covered when returning back home will be 50 times x plus 1. So 50 times x will give me 50x, all right? And 50 times 1 will give me 50. Okay, for this question, the distance from this man's home to the park is the same distance as from the park down back to his house. The only thing that can change is probably the man's speed or the time. The distance cannot change. So it means that the distance going, which is 60x, is equal to the distance returning back home, which is 50x plus 50. I hope this information is clear. At this point, we collect like 10. So we move 50x to the left-hand side. But as you can see, 50x is a positive value. So as it crosses this equal to sign to meet 60x, 50x will change to negative 50x. So it will give us 60x minus 50x equal to, we'll be left with 50. Okay, 60x minus 50x will give us 10x equal to 50. Divide both sides by 10. 10 here 1, 10 here 1. 0 cancels 0. So x is equal to 5. Go back to the table. What is the meaning of x? X is time. So the total time this man spent going is 5 hours. So the total time it took him to return, to get back to his house will be 5 plus 1, which is x plus 1, will be 6 hours. But the question says, how far is his home from the park? From the park to his home, that's return. The distance is this, all right, which is 50x plus 50. Okay, that's the distance from the park to his home. Remember, x is 5 hours. So 50x is same thing as saying 50 times x plus 50. Since x is 5 hours, I'm going to replace x with 5. So it will give me 50 times 5 plus 50. 50 times 5 is 250. Now plus 50, that's 300. 300 watts, the unit is miles. So 300 miles is our answer. All right, thank you very much. The concept of rate is very easy. You see it in any competitive exam. So all you need to do, like we did for example 1 and now in example 2, once you get the question, don't panic. Create your table. Once you create your table, you show the speed, the time, and the distance. Then just extract the necessary information from the question, show it in your table, solve, get your answer, and you will be fine.